ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside.
Welcome to the Astrological Tarot Report for Monday, February the 3rd. And it's a little bit late in the day, but we're going to get it out there anyways. We've got just a couple of aspects for Monday the 3rd. We have Moon square Mars, and we'll go ahead and start off with that. So Moon is going to be at 19 degrees of Aries. Mars is at 19 degrees of Cancer. Sorry for not giving you guys an introduction. I'm Tony Victor. This is the weekly Astrological Tarot Report. So basically where we take the Golden Dawn system and it's been altered to fit every degree. So we know how to produce a chart using minor arcana as well as a major for the signs and the planets. So the degrees are what end up giving us the minor arcana to produce a 3-card reading. And when we do the aspects, we end up getting a 6-card reading essentially. But I water it down for ease of viewing for people watching the videos. So it's down to kind of 1 minor arcana each for the representation of the planetary placement. So with that being said, again, I'm Tony Victor. You're listening to Quicksilver Astrology Weekly Tarot Podcast. Weekly Astrological Tarot Podcast, Horoscope. With that being said, so Mars square the Moon 19 degrees Aries, Mars 19 degrees Cancer, and we have our 3 of Wands for the Moon placement and 3 of Cups for the Mars placement. So water and fire here, and then as we know, Mars does not like to be in Cancer. But what do we have? We have kind of looking things over. That's the 3 of Wands, getting a lay of the land. And then 3 of Cups is kind of friendly work affiliations. It can be good times, partying, celebratory occasions. It can also be overdoing it a bit, drinking and partying in general. So it can definitely be that too. So it could be about planning parties, planning good times ahead, or getting a lay of the land at work, making plans to do something different at work, perhaps. Whether that be a promotion or a new job internally, something like that. Not necessarily going elsewhere, but looking at what's available to you. It could be that if you're interested in finding new employment opportunities within your work setting. But the fact that we have the square makes all that a little bit difficult. So it can be challenging. The work environment can be challenging, and you can see things that make the place difficult. It could be that too with that square there. So, but nothing too potentially big in terms of issues that could arise. There's always stuff, but it's not overly terrible considering the cards are relatively decent cards and easy cards, the minor arcana anyways. Now, with Mercury trine Jupiter, we have Mercury at 11 degrees of Aquarius and Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so our Mercury is going to end up giving us the 7 of Swords, and Jupiter is going to end up being the 10 of Swords. So 10 of Swords is not a great card. However, this is a trine. And I see this as the 7 of Swords being something that you're benefiting from. You're taking something out of somebody else's loss with the 10 of Swords. So something is lost, but something is gained. It could end up benefiting you quite a bit. 7 of Swords can be about kind of recouping things, gaining from others' misfortunes in general. It can be that. That's kind of more along the lines of the 5 of Swords, but this is one of those cases with these 2 cards ends up being kind of more like the 7 of Swords. I'm sorry, the 5 of Swords, where the gentleman is kind of picking up the pieces after a war. And this kind of feels like that. It feels like there's something with the Ten of Swords. You see the guy with all the swords in his back. He's on the ground. It feels like it's a war type situation that's been just ended. It's over. And somebody's picking up, surveying the battlefield and taking stuff off the battlefield. It could be literal or it could be metaphorical. If you watch current events, you might see something like that. Maybe somebody's, or you might not. You might not see that. Sometimes we don't hear about that stuff. People profit from war all the time and take stuff away from the battlefield. I'm sure that's a thing, an actual thing. It's been going on for as long as we've been around as a human race. So, with that being said, let's just go ahead and move on to the next one here. All right, Tuesday, February the 4th, we have Moon squaring Pluto, Moon at 2 degrees of Taurus, giving us the Seven of Pentacles. And the Pluto at 2 degrees Aquarius is going to end up giving us the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords again here in this next placement. And what we end up having with the Seven of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. So Seven of Pentacles about investments, long-term, harvesting things, taking account of things. And Seven of Swords is, can be stealing things, taking things from other places, moving them elsewhere, moving resources, gaining from others' losses, skipping town, leaving places behind. So what we can possibly end up having is several different things going on here. Gaining from somebody else's time investment. It could be that. How does that manifest? It can be a number of things. But if I had to guess, somebody puts the time and hard work into a job somewhere at work, and you end up benefiting from it. So maybe somebody puts into place a particular system that's helpful, and you end up benefiting from it, not just them. So it could be something like that, something as simple as that, or it could be something more complicated. These combinations of cards are interesting because we end up coming up with these pairings of minor arcana that you may not think would go together very well, and then somehow they play out. This is the energy that we get, that we're dealt with the planetary energies, and they have to manifest in some way. But how do they manifest? They manifest in all sorts of ways, and in all the different types of ways that you can think, all the different meanings of these cards that you think they have that. And then there's meanings that you don't think of that they might be associated with, but they play out somewhere. They may not play out for you in that particular way, but they'll probably play out for somebody in one of those ways elsewhere in the world. So it's interesting to try and do these horoscopes and predict things, because you can only predict so much. And you never know what the actual outcome is going to be until it happens. But you'll say something, and the reason you say it is because it's going to happen somewhere. When you're doing these divinations and readings for people, mostly on the world stage, how we're doing them now with the horoscope for everyone, you say this stuff and it's going to manifest somewhere. Is that because you said it? Or is it because the energies have already been decided they're going to play out that way? Very paradoxical, right? So, yeah, taking inventory of something, but then also taking it. So maybe you have a plan to take something from somewhere. You see somebody has a lot of, Seven of Pentacles, we look at it and it kind of looks like it's a harvest of fruit or plants or some sort of thing going on. So maybe it's the weasel in the yard that takes account of all the, I don't even know if a weasel eats carrots or something. It sees all the carrots, it's going to go after all the carrots, and the Seven of Swords is the weasel taking the carrots. But think of that as you will. That can be somebody trying to steal something from somewhere or take something from somebody else. It can be that. Okay, so continuing on for February the 4th, we have our next aspect, which is Moon squaring Mercury. Moon is at 13 degrees of Taurus, giving us the Nine of Pentacles. And then we also have the Nine of Swords for Mercury at 13 degrees of Aquarius. All right, so this is actually, even though we do have the Nine of Swords, which is typically a card about depression, anxiety, it can be also about illness. And I know it is a square, but we have a very wonderful card of the minor arcana here, the Nine of Pentacles. And that's a physical card. So it's the moon. I see the two things going on here. The theme is comfort and security. In the Nine of Swords, it's about inner security, whereas the Nine of Pentacles is about outer security and physical comforts in general. But then again, the Nine of Swords is also about comfort too. The blanket that's around the gentleman's legs is about a source of comfort. So it's these things that we find to be comfortable, and maybe they end up being difficult for us for some reason. Either that could end up being a kind of an addiction type of thing. It could be that, because we find comfort in things that are not necessarily good for us. It could be that. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Something could be providing comfort for you in a tough situation. It could also be that. So there's going to be some aspect of difficult, being that it's a square. However, there's a degree of comfort in there somewhere. And it's not going to be a bad thing necessarily. I see it as something that's going to be comforting for the person. Mercury and Moon, very personal planets. So we're not necessarily talking on a collective level. It's not, just a couple things for everyone. It's kind of maybe a lot of little things for everyone. It might be something like that where, as I've said, it's going to be a source of comfort to you in a difficult time. Okay, so February 5th, Wednesday, we'll be looking at two different aspects here. Sun square moon is the first one, so first quarter moon, and that is at Sun 16 degrees of Aquarius, giving us the Three of Swords, and moon at 16 degrees of Taurus, giving us the Three of Pentacles. So Three of Swords, not a great card, but Three of Pentacles, not a bad card. What we're looking at with the squaring energy here, the sun and moon, is some internal tension, kind of giving us a choice to make, perhaps. So something going on with structures. It can be work. Three Pentacles is a good card, representative of a work type of situation. Planning, establishing things. But then with the Three of Swords, that's that internal suffering, that emotional energy, that emotional suffering. So Three of Swords is usually a mental type of thing, and yet it's something that causes us emotional stress too. So with that square energy, we're definitely feeling some sort of something structured is bringing us a sense of inner pain. So perhaps it is an issue at work. That is very likely for most of us. Could be some sort of contract. Three is also about contracts and examining them with care. But when we have the sun and moon together, so sun is very personal, as is the moon. The moon is emotional. We've already kind of covered that emotional energy. However, the Taurus, moon and Taurus, that's giving us the Three of Pentacles. So that, in a sense, also becomes emotional too. So it's more on an emotional level, but we're experiencing things also physically and mentally too here in this particular case, with this blending of cards going on. And the fact that it's on the level of Aquarius, we're talking about the collective here. So the being that it's a collective type of situation, that's why I'm going to lean more towards the work aspect of it all, because it involves other people too, not just you personally. And then Taurus is very physical, also very work type of situations. So yeah, altogether I would say with the combination of these cards, you're looking at a situation that's most likely going to affect a lot of people at work. The sun being personal, and then moon also being personal too. So there you have it. Next aspect we'll be looking at is moon conjunct Uranus. So the moon is at 23 degrees of Taurus. And also Uranus is at 23 degrees of Taurus. And this is ending up giving us the Ten of Pentacles. Because they're both at the same spot, we get the same minor arcana card. And with the minor arcana of the Ten of Pentacles, We have established structures, we have money, we have family values, tradition, um, kind of rites of passage too. That's more the four of wands, but this is also it can be related to familial rites of passage. So bonding of families together, family reunions, kind of like could be weddings too. Excuse me. Yeah, I would say with the conjunction energy of the moon and Uranus. Uranus is that instability type of card. I mean planet. And with those together, the moon being personal and Uranus being on the collective level. So yeah, something that probably would affect your family, especially since we're talking about collectivity, a group. Uranus being related to Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius, as does Saturn, but Uranus is that higher level card of the outer planets comparatively to Saturn. Taurus, work situation. So some sort of established structure at work. I like to whittle these things down as we look at them. You look at the planets, you look at their signs, you look at the house lords. You see what type of energy is ruled: emotional, personal, intellectual, physical. Taurus is very physical, very work-oriented, also about pleasure, being related to Venus. So, but with a conjunction of the Uranian energy here, it's something unpredictable at work, some sort of unpredictable situation that arises. Not that it's bad or good, but some sort of Uranus is that card of mystery too, in a sense. Pisces is mystery, but Uranus and Aquarius is kind of unpredictability too, on a collective level. So yeah, I'd say something possibly unpredictable could happen at work. Good or bad. Uranus can be a card of boons, a potentially good one, but it can also sometimes be kind of have that. Uranus has a little bit of Mars in the sense that God of the sky. Uranus can also be somebody that casts casts lightning bolts, good or bad. Kind of be a shock, wake you up, or it can be a shock that helps you out. It can shock you into doing something you needed to do. So there's lots of different ways that the Uranian energy can manifest in this particular case. Thursday, February 6th, we end up having Moon trine Pluto for our first aspect of the day. Moon is at 2 degrees of Gemini, giving us the Ten of Swords, and Pluto is in Aquarius at 2 degrees, giving us the Seven of Swords. Okay, so this is a trine. This is an aspect of ease. Ten of Swords, we know it's a rough card, but this is also, this combination of planets is something we've seen earlier in the week on Monday, just kind of a reversal. So it can manifest in a similar way. On February 3rd, let's go back to that and take a look and see how this differs from what we're looking at now. So that was our second aspect, not Moon square Mars, but that was Mercury trine Jupiter. So something good came out of the Jupiterian energy of Mercury, hopefully. Mercury is exchange, and Jupiter can be wealth, health and wealth. So something good, positive, hopefully came out of that for you on Monday, being as that we're now at the end of the Monday. Yep, this report is a little bit late, but here we are. We're getting it done nevertheless. So February the 6th, now we have those same combination of cards, and that's manifesting as Moon trine Pluto. Pluto is also a card of potential wealth too, kind of up from the depths though, digging something up from the depths to give wealth. And now we're looking at Moon trine Pluto, and the Ten of Swords is again about ending of something, surrendering to something, giving up. So maybe giving something up to get something. That could be interesting. And Pluto is a transformational card. So something we may not have thought was going to be valuable or turn out well for us can end up turning out well for us as Pluto transforms into something positive for us in terms of the Seven of Swords, where we're collecting a reward of sorts. However that, that's going to happen, retaking something from somewhere else, someone else, to get it. Maybe Pluto can be one of those cards of, hidden things. So yeah, maybe you have to kind of do it deceptively in order to get it. And Pluto kind of work that way with the Seven of Swords because it's something deceptive in order to gain something. So that could be kind of a not so good way to do it, but it could happen that way. And Gemini and Aquarius both being air signs, so both being very mental. The idea manifests mentally first, probably, for us if we, in order for us to benefit from this situation. It's an idea that we get. So be mindful of your thoughts and how they manifest in terms of gaining something from an ending of another thing. Okay, so next aspect we're looking at is Moon conjunct Jupiter. And here again, we have the Ten of Swords. Okay, but thank goodness we have Jupiter. It could be good for us, possibly. However, Jupiter is health, and the Ten of Swords is not necessarily good for health. It can be related to back issues, back problems. So watch out for that. And then Gemini is mental, as we said. Could also be about the lungs too. So watch out for breathing stuff going on, breathing issues. Maybe it's a good time to start a breathing practice, pranayama or some other sort of yogic breathing. It could be a good time to start that. Now, the other thing about Gemini, it can be related to mental health, considering the fact that we have Jupiter involved in there as a card of health and wealth. But in this case, I'm leaning more towards a card of health, considering that it's a Ten of Swords and Gemini is involved. Watch your friends and family for mental health issues going on. Check in on them, see how they're doing. Hopefully they're not depressed. It is, the middle of the winter. So check in on them and kind of give them the support they need. All right, February 7th, Moon trine Mercury. Moon is at 17 degrees of Gemini, and Mercury is at 17 degrees of Aquarius. So we have, for our two cards here, two air cards, two swords, Seven of Swords. It's in there a lot this week. And also the Four of Swords. So with the Seven of Swords and the Four of Swords, it's a great time to get away and take a vacation. Get out there. It's some escapism for you on a physical level. Go somewhere and relax. Good time to get out of town if you can. That is what we're looking at there. Pretty plain and simple. The other factors involved there are Gemini and Aquarius. Aquarius in this case, not so important as what we're looking at with the swords themselves here, and the combination of the energies that boil down into the two minor arcana cards. Mercury's there, so that's short-term travel, and as it's related to Gemini. Gemini is your short-term or short-distance travel, versus Sagittarius, which is more long-distance travel. So it can be a short trip, maybe not too far, but you can get away and get some relaxation. So maybe a couple cities over. I don't know, plan a spa day. There you go, a spa day out of town. And rest and relax. Something as simple as that. But yes, I would highly recommend in whatever way you can to relax on Friday the 7th. All right, next aspect of the day on Friday, Moon square Saturn. Moon's at 18 degrees of Gemini, giving us the that is the Eight of Swords. And then Saturn at 18 degrees of Pisces, giving us the Eight of Cups. So this was Saturn I see as very emotional energy connected to some sense of loyalty to something or someone. With the Eight of Swords, there's no really reason to be tied to something. It's only because of your choice to be tied to it or have it binding you in place. And the Eight of Cups is saying, hey, it's okay to leave this situation behind. You don't need to be there anymore. Saturn is one of those long-term cards, and emotionally it may not hit us right away that it's a good time to leave, but this is a good time to leave that situation behind, whatever it is that's causing you stress and distress. Saturn is the fear involved in it too, related to the Devil card. Saturn is that Capricornian card, and the house ruler being, Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn's it can be about fear. It's also loyalty. So you're fearful, perhaps, about not continuing to be loyal in this situation, And why am I seeing as loyalty? Well, just the fact that it's Saturn, it's something you've been sticking with for a long time. So either that's a matter of choice or that's a matter of circumstance, whatever the case is, you feel bound to this particular thing, and that's where the energy of Saturn is. So although that's the moon card, Saturn is a card of binding, and that is the Eight of Swords is very much a Saturnian card in this particular blending of the minor arcana energies. So take that advice however you will, and in whatever way that manifests for you personally in your life. But yes, you do not need to be bound to that situation any longer. And if it pops into your mind on Friday, think about that and see how that might help you. Next aspect for the day, Sun trining Moon. Difficult cards, perhaps. Well, the one is Sun at 19 degrees of Aquarius, giving us the Six of Swords. This is the easier card. And then the one that is not as easy is Moon at 19 degrees of Gemini, the Nine of Swords. But because it's a trine and because we have the Six of Swords, that's going to soften the Nine of Swords for us. So a card that can be about illness, depression, anxiety, stress in general, just ill health. It can be about those things. The Six of Swords is going to allow us to get away from any of those potentially difficult or negative things. And a trine, we're going to come out on top with that. So Six of Swords is moving away from those difficulties. And the Aquarian energy and Gemini energy. So two mental energies going on here for the most part. Aquarius being the higher collective mental energy. So maybe it's something that it's affecting not just you, but those around you. And then with just being mental in general, it's something that might be able to be avoided. So mental anxiety, mental stress, something that you can get around and do better, maybe because of the help of others, being that that's that Aquarian energy. So maybe you get help from others collectively, in a manner of speaking, because it is a trine. And the sun being the personal planet, so it's something that affects you personally, and the moon's there too, but that Aquarian energy is still there, and you can get help from others to get out of a depressing situation. So maybe it's still connected to the last aspect we just talked about with the Eight of Swords and the Eight of Cups. It can be related to that. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something separate. But it's similar in the fact that we don't need to be bound by it. We can get away from it. You kind of have the Six of Swords being that card that allows you to move forward, as does the Eight of Cups in the last aspect we just talked about. So keep that in mind. These are things that you can move past. And with that trine energy in this particular aspect, it's much easier for you to move away from those things that cause you distress or stress. Okay, moving on to Saturday, February the 8th, we have Moon square Neptune. Moon's at 28 degrees of Gemini, giving us, again, the Nine of Swords. And then we also have the Nine of Cups, distilling down from the energies of Neptune at 28 degrees of Pisces. So Nine of Cups can be a great card. Also, it could be about manifesting fear. Do not manifest fear, because Neptune is a very emotionally powerful card. And then that square is a difficult type of situation. So how can we manifest positive versus the negative? Manifest something that comforts you instead, okay? Nine can also be that quilt, the man with wearing the quilt over his legs, keeping him warm, that keeps him comforted in a sense. So that Nine of Swords, let that not be a negative thing. Let it be a positive thing. Find the things that comfort you in your life and find ways to manifest them. So use that as a positive out of this tough situation. So maybe out of the difficulties that you experience and feel in your life, how can you get around them? How can you feel better about them? How do you feel comfortable dealing with the normal everyday stress that you do? And how can you make it better? That's what you should think on and find ways to manifest them in the Nine of Cups. And just holding a good emotion around the things that you want to impart into your life can be beneficial for you and help them draw those things to you. And this is especially one of those cases with the manifestation energy. We just had a very big week in terms of manifestation this past with all the conjunctions going on. So it was definitely a time for abundance and manifestation, as I mentioned before in the previous report. So use this time as a continuation of that. If you want to use the energy to manifest things of a positive nature, it's still a good time to do that. All right, so now we're at Moon square Venus. Moon is at 3 degrees of Cancer, giving us a Five of Cups. And Venus is at 3 degrees of Aries, giving us the Five of Wands. So not a great combination of cards. Five can be about depression, a state of mourning, kicking over the cups in anger as a metaphor, and then also in the Five of Cups themselves, you do see that kind of going on, or the aftermath of such an incident. Five is on the upright version of this card rather than reversed. It's outward conflict. So things are going on internally that cause conflict outwardly. Moon squaring Venus, so very personal planets here. Venus being an emotional planet can be related to relationships. Doesn't always have to be some devotional motherly instincts. So maybe there's conflict with the parent, can be surrounding some sort of sense of anxiety or difficulty. Hopefully there's no mourning situation going on after a passing. It could be that too, though, with the Five of Cups. But Moon is one of those not so critical cards unless it's paired with something more critical in this particular stage. Moon is, a receptacle for energy. Whereas if it were something like a Moon square Saturn or something like that, then you might be looking at something more in terms of something permanently with a passing of a relative or a family member, or something of that nature. So I don't see that. I see it as something less critical, more in the personal relationship side of things, some sort of conflict that brings stress and anxiety to a relationship because of the combination of the fives there, with the Five of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. Okay, but in the Five of Pentacles, you're trying to build something. That could be it too. You're trying to build something, build a relationship, build some sort of structure in that relationship. And the Five of Cups, yes, it may be difficult, but you can still come out on top. There's still that Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is a card of relationships. Now remember that. It's interesting when you look at these cards, you have to think of them in two different ways. You see a pairing of certain items, whether they be the swords, the cups, the wands, whatever it is, the pentacles, and then you see another pairing perhaps on the other side of the card showing a certain number of items representing another type of card. So when you see the Three of Cups, you think of parties, you think of getting together. This can be that in another way, or it can kind of be not wanting to get together and be by yourself because the cups are kicked over, and that's why there's a gentleman in a black cloak standing alone and not with three people. So you look at these cards and notice certain things about the tarot as you continue to delve into the symbolism, to gain knowledge about the system over the years and see what they really mean, or find out the many different and deeper meanings. And then the Two of Cups, as we've mentioned in the past before, is a card of relationships, healing, love, attraction, deepening of relationships. So through conflict, you can end up deepening a relationship. So this is one of those positive things in the squares. Through conflict, you deepen a relationship. That's something more positive to consider. Okay, moving on to the 9th, the last day we'll be looking at of the week, Sunday. And this is actually a very good way to end the week here. We got a couple more aspects to talk about, but this is a great aspect to have at the end of the week here. We end up getting Sun at 20 degrees of Aquarius and Mercury at 20 degrees of Aquarius. So you end up having a blending of two of one of the best cards you can get in the suit of the cups. So we have two Tens of Cups, one for each planetary position. So we just end up representing it on our chart here that you're viewing now as a singular Ten of Cups. So with the Ten of Cups, it's about hopes, manifestation, dreams. And because we have two of them, we have a much greater chance of seeing our hopes realized. So something's on your mind, with the energy of Mercury, that mental energy, and Aquarius. Hopefully it's something that benefits a lot of people because it's the Aquarian energy. So it could be a big announcement and some helpful for a lot of people. Mercury's that communication card. So it could be a hopes and dreams realized and communicated to you and or others. Think of things that you want to have manifested. It's another good manifestation card for this particular week. Not as good as the Nine of the Nine of Cups, because Nine of Cups is more physical, but Ten of Cups is very good too. It's more, being that it's related, you see the images of the family there. The two, we'll just say the husband and wife, we'll just take it as that perhaps in this particular case. And then you see the kids to the right dancing. It's kind of a family situation and everyone is happy. So whatever is going on for that particular energy on the 9th, I would expect some good news, hopefully. If not for you, then for mostly everyone or a lot of people. Mercury is personal, and the Aquarian energy is not so personal. But you also have the Sun, too. So the Sun is very personal. Yeah, just watch out for that energy, and hopefully it's good for all of us. The next aspect we'll be looking at is Mars trine Saturn, Mars at 18 degrees of Cancer. And that ends up giving us the Two of Cups. And then for our other planetary placement, we have Saturn at 18 degrees of Pisces, giving us the Eight of Cups. So Two Cups, Eight of Cups. And Mars is a very is a quick, energetic planet. Not as quick as Mercury, but it can still be pretty quick. Very physical. And being paired with the Two of Cups in Cancer, it's an emotional connection, but it's a quick one. Perhaps even very physical. It can be a love and leave 'em type of situation. It can be one of those types of things. And then with the Eight of Cups, I'd say that's even more likely. So that's a very good possibility for the outcome on that day, if that's what you're getting yourself into. With the Saturn energy, though, it's hard to leave something behind. So you want to leave something behind, perhaps. You don't feel as bad about it because it's a trine, it's a good thing. But maybe you don't want to, okay? It could possibly be that too. Saturn's difficulty and fear, so the fear of leaving behind something, in this particular case, it can be about that. It doesn't have to be, but, the moon is kind of a melancholy image in the Eight of Cups. It's a melancholy sensation. It is a melancholy card, okay? It's difficult journeys, difficult transitions. So this can be a relationship. It can kind of be one last get together before you move on. It can be however that manifests. Doesn't need to be relationship wise. It can be whatever it is. Pisces, that can be there's lots of things that can manifest as, okay? So Saturn and Pisces can be about addiction too. So just be careful about that. Mars wants to, have one last taste of something before they give it up. It could be that too. The Mars in Cancer is something tied to, you're tied to emotionally. So it could be something very physical here with that Saturn energy and that Mars energy. It can be about that, but it's a healing situation. At the end of it, it's helpful for you. So if you do have some sort of addiction situation, the Saturnian and Pisces energy, you can move past it and heal from it with the Two of Cups. So I hope that helps those out there that are having difficulty with those types of situations. Our next aspect is also can be a very positive one for us. Moon conjunct Mars, 18 degrees of Cancer, is where both Mars and the Moon fall. And so again, we get the Two of Cups here. And with that Two of Cups, we're looking at something very physical again, perhaps, Mars being physical, and of course Cancer being very emotional. So we kind of get a little bit more of the same of what we were already dealing with in the previous aspect. However, this tends to be something that's going to be a relationship it's a stronger relationship, okay? Because we have two Twos of Cups with this particular conjunction, both the Moon and Mars together sharing their energy. So it's a relationship that's going to be built on some sort of physicality. There's a physical attraction there. And is that where it ends? Not necessarily, because the physical attraction ends up being something emotional too in Cancer. It can be also about that. Cancer and Mars don't usually work out well, but in this case they seem to. They seem to be working out pretty well, and it could end up being a longer relationship. Okay, especially considering the last aspect energy we had with both Saturn and I believe I said Mars as well there too. Let's go back up and look. Yes. That was Mars trine Saturn for the last aspect. So While it's rooted in Mars and something quick and physical, it has that Saturnian energy, and we're kind of looking at a trifecta here of energies, or a quadruple energy form here with the four planetary placements and the sharing of the energy of the two cups in three particular instances. So maybe instead of just the Eight of Cups being a leaving it behind, moving on situation, it's a transitional period where the relationship deepens and lasts longer. Maybe there's more physical intimacy in this relationship for you because of the Mars, and the Mars playing out kind of in a triplicate sort of way for us with the different aspects we have going on that day of February 9th. Okay, so our last aspect for that particular day and for the week. So Sunday comes to an end with Moon trine Saturn. And again, we have the same exact cards, but with different planets here. So Moon is trining Saturn, and we kind of get more of the same of this relationship energy. The Moon being that receptacle for energy, and it's going to take on more of the qualities of Saturn in this particular case. Cancer is there, Moon at 18 degrees of Cancer, Saturn at 18 degrees of Pisces. So again, we end up with the Two of Cups and the Eight of Cups. So transitioning into a longer lasting relationship. If you're already in one, it could mean that. Most likely this is not the start of a new relationship. However, with all these other things we have going on that day, it could be a good day to start a relationship. And then maybe it ends up being a long-term one because of this type of energy. And it's a very unique and interesting blend of energies because of the Cancer Piscean energy, and then the Saturnian long-lasting loyalty type of energy there too. So Two Cups, healing, union, mirroring. Eight of Cups is moving on, some sort of a spiritual journey, long-lasting journey. So long-lasting journey with Saturn, long-lasting relationship is how I can kind of see that possibly. Maybe difficulties with the melancholiness looking character of the Moon in there, and then as it is reflected by Moon, it could be that. However, Moon does end up being in Cancer in that particular case, so its ruler, it is there. Saturn does not rule Pisces, but however, the Saturn and Pisces energy, we have that melancholiness also there too. So the water energy of Cancer and Pisces together, the water sign is deeply emotional, but deep emotional, long-lasting connections because of Saturn in this case, a less negative connotation and more of a character of strength and crystallization. That long-lasting energy of Saturn is a crystallizing one because we're sharing lots of connections, deep connections on the 9th with the other aspects that we have. So if you were looking for a relationship or already in one, because you're already in one, you may find new reasons to reconnect with your relationship. And if you're not in one, you might find one and then also have a long-lasting relationship because of these deeper connections you're forming right around this time. So when these things don't always play out, on the same day, they can kind of take place over the next couple days or beforehand, depending on kind of the shadowing of the energies and how they kind of come together beforehand and after as well. So do keep that in mind. A lot of stuff relationship-wise going on here. Lots of Tens of Swords, lots of Nines of Swords, but the way they've manifested this week is not so tough. We have a lot of trines and a lot of beneficial conjunctions and a lot of opportunities for manifestation this week with the Nines and Tens in general. Comfort, security, abundance, Nine of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, comfort, security, abundance. So yes, lots of good opportunities for self-reflection, self-improvement, and setting relationship goals and improving them. All right, that's all I got for this week. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, ask questions in the comments section. As always, I am Tony Victor, and you've listened to the Quicksilver Astrology Weekly Astrological Tarot Report. Check out my website if you like, quicksilverastrology.com. There's a bookstore on top if you want to learn about some of the things I'm into and see the books that I write. I can do charts as well, tarot readings. Let me know what you're interested in. If you want a personal reading, I do those as well. All right, thank you, and see y'all next week.
ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside